We didn't just make that perfect line. We took the time to refine that line. Hey, what's up guys? It's Art Book Addiction here. We're here with a new artist journey video. So today, we're going to be talking about patience, right? So patience is something that could really help an artist, right? Art is a long medium, okay? Like, it's not something like cooking that will just take the evening, right? Some art can be faster, some art can be slower, but just as a whole, art is a slow process, okay? It's something that you need to work on over time. So having patience is very important to making good art, right? So that's what we'll be talking about today. But before we start the video, please hit that like, hit that subscribe, check out my Prince and Patreon if you want to support the channel. And with that, let's get into it. So patience is an essential part to the artist process, right? You're not gonna make something, like I said, super quickly, right away. With different mediums, like digital, things have gotten faster. But like I said, overall, it's gonna take a couple hours, right? It's gonna take maybe a couple days, okay? Depending on who you are, what your skill level is, right? But usually time is something that is required, okay? If you're just getting into art school, you're gonna quickly realize that you do not have a lot of time, okay, to make your projects and finish them, okay, and get them to the level that you want, okay? Often, people will take very long to finish their work, and usually will not finish the work, and that's where things like having patience is really key. Some people, they like to rush things, okay? They like to, they like to get to the finish line as quickly as they can because there's so little time, okay? But having patience in the right places can really improve your work, right? So what do I mean by that? Okay, so taking the time to do your work correctly, right, and not rushing to the end, okay, is part of the artist's journey, okay? Understanding when it's time to go in hard and when to ease off the pedal, okay? It's the artist's journey is like, you're you're going down a path, and you have to understand that you have fuel, okay? You as a person, you have fuel, and you're gonna run out, okay? Maybe when you're young, you can make as much work as you can, but that's not really sustainable, okay? So that just goes more into like the time management aspect, but that's not exactly what we're talking about. But so when it comes to patience, you have to be willing to wait. First stage of a drawing, right? Usually it's like a line drawing, okay? You're doing the line, you're doing the skeletal work, okay? Right? And you're making that, and often, this is what I often see with younger artists, okay? You draw the structure, but then you immediately start doing the design, okay? And that's wrong, okay? That's wrong. You need to make the structure sound, okay? You need to take the time, and it's like, it's drawing that mannequin, like, oh, I gotta make the pose, and I gotta make the pose look good, and then I gotta make this look good, you know what I mean? And you gotta make the structure of the drawing very strong, okay? And that takes patience, all right? A lot of people, they're rushing in, they're going in like, now I'm gonna go right into the detail. Wrong, okay? I go right into the render. Wrong, okay? You need to build stuff up in layers, okay? You get the structure, okay? Then you put the design, okay? Right? So then you're figuring out like, oh, what part of the designs do I want to keep? What do I want to throw out? Okay? And that takes time, and it takes a lot of patience, okay? Because like I said, people want to rush. They want to rush their designs. They want to rush their drawing. They want to rush whatever, okay? Because like I said, it really it takes a long time to make the whole thing, okay? But if you do it correctly, it makes things a lot quicker, okay? So if you build out that structure, you make it very sound, it's something that you could build upon with much greater ease. And once you work those stages, right, it makes the process much easier. Okay, so you're doing the line, okay, you're doing the structure, you do the detail, right? Now you're doing lighting, you do the color, right? And then you do the final render. The drawing and the render are the most time consuming, okay? But a lot of people want to rush to the render because that's the good stuff. That's the oh, I want to be here, right? And that's where you can make a lot of mistakes, okay? Because I've made this mistake many times, right? Where I'm like, okay, I want to get to the part that I like, okay? But I didn't establish the structure required to make that piece, And some people, like the people who are more experienced, may not need to make every little structure perfect, right? They're like, okay, I got most of it done, I can move on to the next process, okay? But that takes skill, okay? And that takes knowledge, and you need to be able to draw the structure, okay? You need to draw the structure, get everything in its little place, okay? And you can't push ahead until that thing is done. Get that stage finished, okay? Don't be jumping stages. You need to get this part done. That's solid. Okay, now we move on. That's solid. Move on. That's solid. Okay, and that's the foundation of making really good artwork, okay? And it's what makes you get better, okay? Because the process is the key, right? Once you've refined your process, you can make anything you want. It's about taking the time to make something really, really work, okay? So, I'm a person who believes in not overworking, okay? And so there's a lot of people who overwork stuff, right? And that's usually what I would say is a mistake that they made from earlier, okay? Right? So earlier in the process, they didn't refine the drawing, they didn't make the drawing the structure good enough, right? And so they're trying to fix that on the other end by over rendering, okay? So if you guys have ever made a portrait where the structure was incorrect and then you rendered it to the T, right? It looks off, right? And some people, they try oh, maybe I just need to render more, okay? But that's incorrect, right? It was during the drawing process that they made this mistake, right? That stays there, and maybe the artist will ignore it, or have to okay, maybe if I change, they'll move this, that, move it around, right? But in reality, what they should do is for that one part, they gotta erase it and then redraw it, and sometimes you may have rendered to the point where you may need to just start over the drawing, okay, because it's not working, you know what I mean, right? So when I say patience, I don't mean just the overall, okay? I mean the section, okay? The small parts that build upon each other to get to the final part, right? And if you don't have the patience to complete every step as that step, then there's gonna be backlash, okay? And that is gonna slow you down overall, okay? Which, that's the worst part, okay? When you have to make a major change just to make the painting work again, or to make the drawing work again, okay? It's a part of the process that that you need to be able to do, okay? Because to understand what your process is to make you faster, okay? And to understand which stage you're in, okay, also makes you faster, okay? It's not oh, I could jump past a section that makes me faster. That's not how it works. It's being able to do those sections faster. Strangely enough, one of life's contradictions is you don't get faster by doing it faster. You get faster by doing it more patiently, okay, more meticulously, okay, by understanding what's going on. And then once you understand that, you can learn how to when to make the call to jump to the next stage, okay? And that's part of the intuition, okay? You're okay, I'm making this drawing, and then I got it just enough, okay, this is working, I'm moving on. You don't want you're rushing to get in the way of your work, okay? Because you have an idea, it's gonna take time, okay? And so another aspect of patience, okay, is sometimes your work is just gonna need more time, okay? And a lot of like I see this in a lot of early work, right? Where they're like, okay, it's mostly working, but like they needed to put in like 3-4 more hours, okay, a couple more hours, right? And understanding when to make that call and when to take the pencil off is, you know, what defines someone who's good and who's not, right? Or someone who's more skilled and then less skilled, right? I don't want to say good and bad because that's too black and white, okay? When it comes to skill, it's a range. But anyway, I digress, right? Having the patience to give your work the time it needs is so important, right? It's what makes people's work stand out. And it's like if you're looking at like a video game, okay, if you're like like game dev, right? It's taking the time to polish, okay, to, like, hey, this isn't right, so I'm just gonna take the time to make it right, and there you go, okay, right? Taking the time, there you go, right? Because like 90% of work is just like getting it into the right spot and then like getting it to the thing that the right level that you want, right? And you're like, okay, well, everything's here now, clean up, okay? And that's where people kind of mess up, right? Because like, well, it's like 90% there, right? And it's like, well, if it's 90% there, then you want to take it to that 100%, okay? You want to complete your work, right? I made a video about completing, right, and finishing and why that's so important, okay? And patience is a part of completing, okay? Because that little 10% to take it to 100, that's what people want, okay? And that's what people will appreciate in your work, okay? It's the little things, it's the little, there you go, okay? Taking the time to make it like, okay, like if you see something like, is that working? Does it not work? Is it what I intend? Okay, taking that little time to just finish it and make it graceful. Okay, I'm like, okay, and then that's what makes work look so simple to other people, right? They make it like wow, like how do they make that perfect line? Okay, it's like no, we didn't just make that perfect line. We took the time to refine that line and get the shapes exactly where we want, to get those lines exactly where we want, right? And to render just enough to get to that level that we like, okay? And that's what makes good artwork, okay? Patience is key, okay? So, we talked about patience on the small scale, okay? Now, I want to take patience for the long term. In Outliers, right, I believe it takes, they say it takes about 10,000 hours to reach mastery, okay? And 10,000 hours is a super long time, okay? And that requires patience and diligence, okay? The best artists are very, very patient, okay? Obviously, you don't want to be too patient, and you don't want to, and like that's the point where you're slow, right? And you're like, okay, well now I'm taking too long, right? But you want the kind of patience that will allow you to get where you need to be, okay? Like let's say like, okay, so for example, right, I'm making these large pieces right now, okay, because I want to get into a gallery, okay, and I'm working on my commission stuff, right, which will keep me fed and like going, right? But my plan is gonna take probably like half a year, maybe more than that, okay? Like realistically probably longer, right? But to make a call like that, to understand that I'm gonna dedicate my life to like for at least a year making this gallery, right, to get it where I want, to make that call, it requires patience, okay? And there's gonna be a lot of stuff that's like like now I'm talking more on like a conceptual standpoint, okay? Right, let's say like you have some works that you need to get done, and it's gonna, and like this is, and it's gonna take a long time, okay? Having the patience to understand and chip away at your work, okay? So a lot of people, a lot of artists, they are gonna be working on the side. They're gonna be doing something separate, okay? Because art isn't gonna, it doesn't always pay the bills, right? That's the artist's life, right? So understanding that like, oh, I'm not gonna have all the time I have to work on the stuff, right? Then if that's the case, then you're gonna need to understand how you work and over a long-term period, right? And having the patience to not only like not get frustrated at your work and then like work on something else and move on, right? No, you need to have the patience to keep going at it, keep working on this thing, right? It's like going to the gym. You need to be consistent. You need to keep going, and you need to understand your vision and understand that like, hey, it might change a little bit, okay, but I'm gonna go with it, and I'm gonna have the patience to get it done, okay, to get it to the level that I want and to be satisfied with it. That's the kind of artwork you want to make, okay, and then you'll be happy with it, and then people will be like, will be dumbfounded on how you did it, okay, but you know you did it with diligence, hard work, and patience, okay. Like I said, patience is huge, okay, to get something, because like I said, art is a long-term thing, okay. If you think about the artists of the past, right, you think about like the Sistine Chapel with Michelangelo, right, when he made that whole thing, he knew that it's going to take years and years and years, okay, because it's so large scale, so long term, right? But he knew that if he did make it, it would last longer than he would ever, okay, right? That's the realm we're working in, okay? We're trying to make something that will last the test of time, okay? Will last forever, okay? Or at least for a couple hundred years, you know what I mean, depending on what you do, right? But understand that like the time that you take to make it, right, is integral to the time that it will last, okay? And understanding that relationship, okay, that like, okay, well, it's gonna take me like, you know, a couple years to make this mural, right? But I know that this mural will last forever, okay, or for however long this wall stays here, right? And for some artists, it definitely lasts past their lifetime, because we're not making like fast food, okay? We're not even making food. We're making something that takes a very, very long time, okay? And understanding that it takes a long time, okay, understanding how long it takes to make something of value, okay, is key to the artist's journey, all right? And to give your time instills the value into the work, okay? And that's what makes good artwork, all right? So that's why patience is such an important thing to the artist's journey. But I think we can end the video here, guys. Please, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like, hit that subscribe, check out my Prince and Patreon if you want to support the channel, ring that bell for notification, all that bullshit, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks a lot.